James Madison was the fourth president of the United States of America, and he said that government is essential because humans are imperfect, selfish, and that humans are not angels. What that means is that if human beings were perfect, selfless, and were angelic in nature, because by the Christian religion, which I have said affects the life of everybody, even those that are not religious. By the Christian religion, the angels are perfect beings, the the heavenly bodies, like spiritual bodies, like God, the Trinity, and the host of heavens. They are perfect. What that means is that if men were like the angels, like the host of the heavens, then there wasn't any need for government. This will also take us to what Thomas Hobbes said in his classic Leviathan. You know, the Leviathan is a book that exposes the strength or the might of men that at the end results in their Waterloo. So your strength is your weakness, because in the Leviathan, it was a show of strength. It was like games theory, power over power. So when power meets power, the weaker power will be crushed. So there is the need for government to ensure that society is peaceful. It's government that would checkmate the power the other person would have over the other person. It's government that will ensure peace, stability, unity, and progress. And that was where the social contract theory was entered into. So the people surrendered an aspect of their power to a selected people that forms government that will overlook the affairs of men, so that the weaker ones will not become collateral damages in society. It also have the flavors of democracy, where in as much as the strong, that's the majority, will have their say, the weak, the minority, or rather, in as much as the majority will have their way, the minority, being the weak, will have their say and not be put down. But then, the irony in the whole of this is that it is the same imperfect, non angelic, and selfish men that will form the government that is supposed to prevent men from exhibiting selfishness, imperfection, and all whatnot. So, what that means is that the government, too, that was supposed to be seen as an instrument of perfection, is made up of imperfect beings. At this point, who is going to stop or control the excesses or the imperfection of government? The answer is, at first sight, nobody. And that's the point where a lot of people think government is God, that government is the end to everything. So, with that idea, people tend to respect the government to a fault. It's important to respect the government. Government puts down rules and regulations that govern society and ensure peace, unity, and progress. But then, government is run by imperfect beings, for which government was originally established. So those imperfect beings need to be called to order, else their imperfection will reproduce an anticlimax that will rather become more of a problem to society. Like in the case of Nigeria, it is how strong and influential Nigerians consider government that has led to Nigerians being afraid of seeking justice because they believe that the government will clamp them down. But what I will always say is that government is as strong as you think it is. At the moment you start believing or start thinking otherwise, you find out that the real power still lies within the arms of the people, because it is the people that surrendered part, not all, part of their power to government. So, at the point government starts expressing or exhibiting imperfection, the same imperfection for which it was established to overcome for society, the mandate falls back on the people to take back their power from government. So the interplay between government and people is not supposed to be overemphasized. But in the Nigerian setting, a whole lot of ideas, a whole lot of um, influences, especially the intrapersonal influences that is born out of the belief that the government is bigger than you, will keep Nigerians for asking for political and leadership accountability. So they resort to some level of idealism that do not really make sense to me. For example, we'll talk about independence of the judiciary. A whole lot of people speak about how the judicial system should run for the sake of the common man. But then, when your judiciary is under the control of the political elite, it is no longer in the interest of the common man. But how does the judiciary become independent? When it is the political elite, like the president, who has the power to appoint the heads of the judiciary. The current president of Nigeria gives largesse to judicial officers. In fact, at the last election, they were boasting about going to court. If you are not okay with the malpractices in the electoral system, go to court. Because they knew that the person who pays, the one who plays the flute, is the same person who detects the tune of what the player plays. That's the irony of the Nigerian situation. Also, the INEC has a chairman that is appointed by someone who will stand in contest for an election. So we will want to wonder how miraculous it will be that I will appoint someone that will oversee the election I will contest in. It will only take miracle. It happened during Jonathan, but Jonathan explained that he was under the influence of people to step aside, and he said his ambition wasn't worth the blood of any Nigerian. But that's Jonathan taking the liberalist approach. But how many others will take the liberalist approach? How many others will put the people above their political ambition? Everything that is wrong with Nigerian society boils down to the lack of political and leadership accountability at all levels. The day that Nigerians will learn how to hold their leaders accountable, because the government is run by imperfect beings. So, as much as government was established to control the excesses of the people, it is also the right of the people to control the excesses of government, because if power is left in the hands of individuals or of an individual uncontrolled, it will corrupt to an unbearable extent, which is the Nigerian situation. Lord Acton already said power corrupts. Power in itself, even if you handed power to a 5-year-old kid, you would see that it automatically places that person on some level that they will start feeling more important than the others. It comes naturally. And then when the power is absolute, like in the case of Nigeria, where anybody does anything and goes away with it, the result will be continuous conflict, chaos, and something that looks like anarchy. In fact, the government of Nigeria is anarchical, not society, not the Nigerian society, but the government, the members of the political class are in an anarchical society where they do whatever they like and they go away with it. Someone said, join the ruling party and your sins are forgiven. So impunity stares us in our faces like good morning, good afternoon, and good night. We sleep impunity, we wake impunity, we drink and live impunity. And when society is so impunitive, calamity becomes the order of the day. Anybody goes into power and does whatever they like and goes away with it. It is at this point that the people have to rise and defend society by protecting themselves and even protecting the leaders from themselves. This is what the Nigerian society isn't doing. We are rather focused on celebrity news. You know, a singer is being dragged all over the place because she made comments against rape. But then there is a 7th senator, Orji Uzor Kanu from Abia North, who publicly confessed that when he was in the People's Democratic Party, PDP, they used to kill people. They used to kill people over politics, over power struggle. And that's why Alexander Pope said, my party politics is nothing beyond the madness of many in the interest of a few. Because define for me madness, if it is not a 7th senator publicly saying that when he was in his former political party, the PDP, they used to kill people. And nobody talked about it, nobody's talking about it, nobody's using it as a point against him in the forthcoming election. We are all bothered about a lady who spoke against rape. So when the society is distracted, the people who victimize the society through politics have a field day. So I am calling on Nigerians to rather focus, to stop all these idle and side talks. As we are doing that, the time is running. We are not leaving anything back for our generation to come. Just side talks, and the politicians keep politicizing us to our graves. Just over the weekend, the elections into the Abuja Municipal Area Council were conducted, and you could see the level of malpractice. But rather, the ruling party for which the malpractice favored is all over the place proclaiming and enjoying victory over an election that was clearly fraudulent. Even the INEC chairman had the guts to announce that kind of result. It's like they just put the impunity on our faces and they are like, we know you won't do anything about it. And true to their thought, we don't do anything about it. When the revolt was for the electronic transmission of election results, I was like, it doesn't even matter. Even if they gave you the real-time transmission, we are operating an evil system. An evil system will always perpetrate evil. The only thing that will stop the evil system is to hold them accountable by any means necessary. And the best means whatsoever is revolution. And when we speak of revolution, we are not saying the Marxian revolution. We are not saying blood on the streets. We are not saying guns are blazing. We are not saying militia. We are saying intellectual revolution. Every society doesn't go beyond its intellectual base. Nigeria is intellectually backwards. We are a people that consider school as scam. So we just go to school because we want to answer the name graduate and get the certificate, and not because we want to learn and know how to change society. Nobody reads. Rather than read, people do TikTok, people do Facebook, people do Twitter, gossips, and all those things. I'm not saying they are bad, but we should be able to balance things. The people that brought this technology to us, they are not as intoxicated over it as we are. They have time to call their leaders to order. And it is in the calling of the leaders to order that a just society is built. You cannot operate Nigeria leaving governance in the hands of politicians. Governance is run by the people through politicians. So at the point a politician steps out of line, it is on the people to call them to order. But Nigerians do not call their politicians to order, they rather worship them. We understand the weaponization of poverty, weaponization of ignorance, weaponization of religion. But in all these things, if the people could just decide to hold their leaders accountable, every other thing will fall in place. And that's what Nigerians should be doing. We have to be able to say no. It's okay to say this is not okay and stand by it. The people who are in power are too small in their numbers. They can't really do anything, but they are doing everything and more than everything, because they've already seen that we are not interested in holding them accountable. We have to start holding our leaders accountable. It is the easiest thing to do. It is the most common thing you owe yourself, you owe society, you owe your children and your children's children. Let us focus and let us start holding our leaders accountable. When someone says, in my first tenure, and I do not provide stable electricity, vote me out. That's a clear ticket. They are even the ones that are calling upon us to hold them accountable, but we are doing nothing about it. But it will surprise you that Nigeria is in total blackout, and people are drumming support for the same person who kept Nigeria in a total blackout, whose mandate was built on the deception of the promise of electricity. So what are we doing? Why are we treating governance in the opposite way that we treat our personal businesses? As long as we do not treat governance the way we treat our personal businesses will not give us the vitality that it should give us, because it is the politics, it's the government, it's leaders that determine the flow of our personal businesses. Think about this. Have a wonderful time.